Hello and welcome back to Buckle Up. My name's Jasper and this is the facelifted Škoda Enyaq Coupe. So yes, this is the facelifted Enyaq Coupe, and I'm sure you can tell there has definitely been some facelifting going on. You've got a very new grille at the top here. This is no longer a grille, this is an illuminated tech deck in this case. Now, if you're on the VRS trim, this comes illuminated as standard. However, if you're not, you do have to pay extra money to get these little LED elements in it. I must say, it does look very good at night. It's very tasteful and it blends in really nicely with your LED daytime running lights up here. These are also your indicators, and then I like the fact you've got a separate lower cluster for your headlamps, which means you're less likely to blind other people at night. The design language of this vehicle is what Škoda are calling their new modern solid design, and I must say it does actually kind of reflect both of those words. It looks very sturdy, very solid, very dependable, and it does look nice and modern, very sleek. There are a lot of dead flies on the front of this car though, because I've done a good distance on the motorway in it. I like this gloss black plastic element down here, and I like this vertical slat grille at the front of the vehicle, and then I actually quite like the fact that we've got some body coloured elements at the bottom. I'm not a massive fan of this grey primer paint. There are some much better colours available. This one is actually quite boring, I think. You've got your large Škoda script up here nestled in the front of your bonnet, and a camera for your surround view camera system, which is unfortunately an optional extra. Nice crease work in the body, and that does work its way nicely around to the side of the car. You'll also see a lovely swoopy coupe roofline. I do think this does look excellent, even though you obviously lose a little bit of practicality. But if you want more practicality, you can of course get the Enyaq in the SUV or estate style body, which obviously has a higher roofline and a bit of a bigger boot as a result. Now, at the side, I've got some 19-inch alloy wheels, but to me, they don't actually look that big, and that's because look at all of this sidewall. Škoda actually understand how to make a car ride well and be comfortable, and that is give it just a little bit more sidewall on your tyres. And I must say, these 19-inch alloy wheels, you know, I've seen better alloys, but they will be efficient and they do actually look pretty decent. I've got folding door mirrors with cameras in them, again part of that optional extra camera view system, and then I like this bit of bright work over the windows and my blacked in B-pillar and darkened rear windows. It's a very tasteful, sleek, stylish, modern, solid car, isn't it? Back here, I've got my charging flap. This is not electrically operated and CCS fast charging up to 135 kilowatts. Your battery capacity in this is 77 kilowatt hours usable, and that means you can do your 10 to 80% charge in less than half an hour, which is realistically the most important metric for this kind of car. Around at the back, Škoda are bucking some trends, but very heavily leaning into some others. So you'll see a large Škoda lettering badge across the back of the vehicle. This, interestingly, is a vehicle where the Škoda emblem only appears in your wheel cap centres. Over here I've got an 85 badge, and that's not actually really representative of the battery capacity. It's just because they did some efficiency upgrades pre-facelift, so what was the 80, even though the battery didn't change, became the 85 because it was more efficient so it could go further. So this is, again, it's like an 82 kilowatt hour battery, but it's equivalent to an 85 somehow. Weird. Over here, Enyaq. And the trend that they are bucking is no light bar, which actually I kind of respect them for. You know, you don't need a massive flashy light bar, but what I do really like is there's a bit of personality in this car. So these lamps here have got LED elements in them, and when you unlock the car or lock the car, you get a nice little dance in those. So there's a bit going on. It's just not like, bam, here's a light bar. At the bottom, you do have little red reflectors and a gloss black plastic bumper. You've obviously got your number plate with your EV badge, and then you'll see coupe, proper coupe, no wiper, just a heated rear screen, little shark fin antenna, and then up top, we do actually also have a panoramic sunroof. If I open this boot and gingerly sit inside as it starts hammering it down with rain, this is 570 litres of luggage space, and if I fold the rear seats down, it goes all the way up to more than 1600 litres. Let's pause. You may notice we've slightly changed locations. We're now above the rain, but I was talking about boot space. Yes, 570 litres back here, which for a coupe is pretty good. It's very comparable to stuff like the Xpeng G6, but beats out something like the Kia EV6. Now, if I fold these seats down, which are a 60-40 folding split with through loading, I actually get 1,610 litres of space back here. This has also got a little bit of like a cargo extra package fitted to it, which brings with it a number of nets, which live over at the side here. I've obviously got excellent tie-down points all the way around the boot. I've got a 12-volt socket over here. I've got 4 flip-down hooks for bags. I've got levers for my rear seats, and then this cargo package along with those nets brings this amazing under boot floor storage space. So this boot floor folds up in a couple of ways, and then underneath it there's a load of foam dividers with different storage cubbies, so it's actually a really practical space to store stuff in. There's also basically no load lip, which means that this is very easy to load things in and out of. You'll also notice that I've got this little bag over at the side which doesn't take up any kind of normal usable boot space, and this is where you can put your charging cable. So I really like how Škoda have done this luggage area. Obviously electronic tailgate too. The back seats, I must say, are lovely. Let's talk briefly about materials first. So this has got the upgraded lounge interior, which is a 1,300 quid optional extra, but to be honest, I really think it's worth it because the materials that it gives you are gorgeous. So I've got suede microfiber on all of these seats, as well as little sections of faux leather, perforated microfiber, and just all of this contrast stitching. It's such a brilliantly appointed place. Now, in terms of space, the Enyaq Coupe is actually really good. So headroom for somebody who's 173 centimeters tall is actually pretty good. Even Rob, at the height of 188 centimeters, has headroom back here because this panoramic sunroof has a nice little recess in it. And then knee room's also really good. I've got loads of space. Rob does have knee space, and the floor's at a decent height, so you don't feel like your knees are weirdly high. There's also a good amount of practicality. I've got cup holders down here in this little bit of storage at the centre. I've got a pair of USB Type-C ports. I've got 3-stage heated seating on both of these outer seats, and I've got a flip-down armrest with another pair of cup holders in it. They take my reusable bottle of water, okay, but that bottle does fit nicely in the door pockets, which in the back are not felt lined, but they are a decent size. I also love the material in the door cards, and I've got practical touches like built-in sunshades to block out all of that lovely British summer sun. So the front seats, again, really nice. Look at this microfiber suede dashboard. I love it. This interior is great. I really do like it. If I was buying an Enyaq, I would definitely be picking the lounge, because while I've still got nice kind of relatively supportive sporty seats, the excellent materials in here are they're just lovely. I like this steering wheel. This is an upgraded steering wheel as part of the Max with 2 X's package, and it gives you stuff like the Sports steering wheel. I shall refer to my notes. The Comfort Seat Package Plus, which means I've got fully electrically adjustable with lumbar support and massage functionality seats up at the front. And then I've also got the Parking Package Plus, which comes as part of that Max package. That gives me the full camera view as well as park assist and trained parking. And then the Drive Sport Package Plus, as part of the Max package, comes with the dynamic chassis control, this leather steering wheel which is heated, which is very nice, and that also brings with it nice paddles for adjusting the level of regenerative braking. Now, when it comes to the rest of the interior, obviously I really like this design and layout. I've got a massive head-up display with augmented reality elements for directions and lane keeping assist functionality. That's pretty good, and that comes as one of the parts of one of the other packages that this car's got. So yes, they do seem to like an optional extra package here. Unfortunately, One thing they don't like as much as would be ideal is physical buttons, because you get basically a row just below your air vents. You get a proper physical gear selector and a parking brake switch. You get some lovely rotary dials on your steering wheel, as well as some other physical buttons, and that's it. Climate control all in this bar across the bottom of the screen. Yes, it works. Should it be buttons? Yes, it should. What I will say though is that Škoda's skin they put on VW Group's in-car software I do think is actually the best. So this is very nice, easy to use. Yes, it's fast to swipe through. Apple CarPlay connects excellently. It's all wireless, and it's just Škoda do a nice job of this software. It's not fussy, and stuff that you really want to be able to get to nice and quickly, like your safety assists, your lane keep assist, there's shortcuts to get to all of that very quickly, which is very nice. Practicality is a bit of a mixed bag. There's some excellent things like this large centre storage cubby, your movable cup holder divider for the front seats, and felt-lined storage pockets in the doors, which are massive, but your glove box is characteristically crap because it's based on the ID platform, so it's basically a half glove box. And then I do really like this storage cubby in the centre, because not only has it got one removable thing, it's got a second removable thing, which is like a little bin. That's also really deep, so very practical there, and it's a lovely, nice microfiber armrest. I've got a wireless Qi charger for my mobile phone down here. That does have active cooling in it, and there's a pair of USB Type-C ports down here. I've also got a floating center console, which has also got some storage underneath it with a little divider. So rubbish glove box, pretty decent everywhere else. So at least Škoda are paying some attention to where things do matter. I think what we'll do now though is we shall take our little green piped seats out for a bit of a drive. To drive, the Enyaq Coupe is just a really lovely vehicle. It rides incredibly well, helped a lot by those 19-inch alloys still having a good amount of tyre sidewall on them. It's a very easy, relaxing drive, and in this case, because I've got the dynamic chassis control, it means that it's incredibly well damped. If you soften that chassis control down, it does actually feel like almost like a floaty kind of vehicle. If you put it towards your sport mode though, it does firm up quite nicely, and whilst it's still not outright sharp, it does handle itself pretty well. Now this does weigh the wrong side of 2.2 tons, so it's something to be aware of. It is a bit of a hefty old beast, but it does disguise that weight pretty well unless you're kind of demanding a lot from the brakes. The other thing that's very easy to do is place this vehicle on the road. Your view from your door mirrors is good, and despite it having a coupe back end, your surround view camera system does make manoeuvring in tight spots pretty easy. When it comes to power, this has got a single motor on the back axle producing 286 PS. It comes with a healthy dollop of torque, and it's good enough to whoosh you from 0 to 62 miles an hour in 6.2 seconds. So it's not outright fast, but it's definitely fast enough. The power is delivered in a nice smooth sense. Obviously, because it's an EV, you get that nice surge away from standstill, and it does pull very nicely, even all the way up to motorway speeds. Motorway driving is actually something that the Enyaq is really good for. So this has got a kind of semi-autonomous driving system, and that means that if you're on a motorway with good lane markings, it will keep you dead centered in your lane, and this one will actually do guided lane changes for you. It's a really very competent cruiser, and I've done a good couple of motorway journeys in this, and even doing a lengthy motorway journey at a GPS checked 70 miles an hour, I was able to get 3.7 and 3.8 miles per kilowatt hour, which I'm genuinely very impressed with. WLTP figures for this say that with your 77 usable kilowatt hours of battery capacity, you should be able to do 365 miles. Now, in the real world, I think if you drove like an absolute saint, that might be a possibility, but what I've seen realistically is about 295 to 300 miles on a full charge, which I still think is actually very respectable and does make this a pretty competitive player in this segment. The car is nice and quiet, there's not too much wind or road noise, and it's a really easy thing to drive. The only thing that lets it down slightly when it comes to driving is brake pedal feel, and that's because there's a lot of regen that you have to push quite strongly through to get to the actual friction brakes, and that'll be so you can eke out as much energy as possible before you actually apply those friction brakes. The other areas that I just wish were slightly different were I wish I did have physical climate controls, and I wish that this particular car didn't have just about 6.5 grand's worth of optional extras stuck on it. So on the road price for this particular model would be from about 46,400 quid, and this one's been optioned up to 53,000, which is a big old whack, but realistically the tech that you actually get for those optional extras is very good. The only thing I wouldn't pay for is I would not pay for this grey paint because I just don't like it, and they've got some other really quite nice colours available on this model. When it comes to a full package though, the Enyaq does a really good job of being an excellent all-round family EV. You've got so much space in this cabin. The cabin is really well put together, nothing rattles, it's all really solidly built, and the material choices are brilliant. And then you've obviously got all of that practicality and a really usable real-world range that actually stacks up even if you're doing motorway driving. So yes, that is the Škoda Enyaq in its coupe form, and having recently driven the VRS, which sits at the top, I'm pleased to report that you don't need to go top trim to get an excellent ownership experience. This is just such a lovely car to own, to drive, the space available and the tech available. It's just absolutely lovely. Now, you do have to pick and choose your options because it's very easy to inflate the price past your base level, but I must say I think most of the ones fitted to this are actually very nice to have. So if you're looking at making a leap towards EV ownership, the Enyaq for me is a very easy recommendation. That's everything for today's video, so thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, please do like, comment and subscribe. And if you are subscribing, make sure you ding that notification bell so you never miss one of our uploads. There are a few other ways you can support the channel. One is our merch store, which is linked in the video description. You can go and buy some things that say "Buckle Up" on them. Secondly, all of our social medias, they are linked in the video description too. And finally, you can also become a channel member right here on YouTube. So that is everything. I will see you in the next one. Bye.